Have you ever felt like your child's behavior determined whether or not you were going to have a good day? Maybe if they were calm, you felt calm. If they had a meltdown, your anxiety shot through the roof. If they made a good choice, you could finally breathe again. And if they struggled, you carried it with you for the rest of the day. Mama, that was me for years. I thought that if my son was having a good day, that I could have a good day. If he struggled, I had to struggle. I didn't realize that I had unknowingly handed my peace over to a little boy and later to a teenager. Until one day I realized the only life I could surrender was my own. Mama, are you tired of meltdowns stealing the peace in your home? Welcome to Parenting Beyond Meltdowns. I'm Amanda, a Christian life coach and a mom of a strong-willed neurospicy teen. If you've tried everything from consequences, parenting books, crying out to the Father, and still feel like you're failing, you're not alone. Inside this podcast, we'll explore how faith, emotional regulation, and connection work together so that you can parent from a place of peace, even in the hardest moments. You don't have to hold it all together here. This is a safe space to lay it all down. Welcome. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to invite you to join my insiders list. Every week, I send faith-filled encouragement, emotional regulation reminders, behind-the-scene reflections, and practical tools to help you stay anchored when parenting feels hard. If you've ever listened to an episode and thought, I needed that reminder today, then I think you'll love being a part of my insiders community. You can join through the link in the show notes. If you've been listening since the beginning of this podcast, you might remember episode 1 where I shared a little bit about my family story and why I started Parenting Beyond Meltdowns. Looking back, I realized there was a part of the story I wasn't ready to tell, partly because I was brand new to podcasting, but honestly, I don't think I fully understood it myself yet. When Noah was little, I loved that little boy with everything in me. All I ever wanted to be was a mom. I wanted to be a good mama. I wanted to raise him to know the Father. I wanted to raise a respectful and kind young man. And I truly believed I was doing what a good parent was supposed to do. I expected obedience, not because I wanted to control him, but because that's what I was taught. That's how I was raised. In my mind, good kids obeyed and bad kids didn't. Good parenting produced obedient children. So when he didn't obey, I didn't know what to do. Looking back now, I understand so much more than I did at the time. I know way more about nervous systems, emotional regulation, and that behavior is language. I understand connection. I understand that children need to learn the skills of self-regulation just like we do, and they learn that first through co-regulation with us. The question is, do we know how to regulate our own emotions? I didn't. But I didn't know any of that back then. And it makes me sad for both of us because I didn't know what I didn't know. So when he pushed back, shut down, had big emotions, or didn't do what I expected, my own nervous system became overwhelmed. My tone became sharp. I sent him to his room way more often than I'd like to admit. At the time, I thought it was just because he needed to be punished or have consequences. I cringe when I say that now. Looking back, I realized that it was because I didn't know what else to do. Sending him away gave me relief. It helped me calm down. I just didn't realize it at the time. One memory that still breaks my heart is when he was about 4 years old. He asked my husband, "Does mommy love me?" And even now, almost 15 years later, it still makes me wince because I know why he asked it. It wasn't because I didn't love him. I loved him more than words could express. But somewhere along the way, my frustration had become louder than my affection. My correction had become louder than our connection. And I wished I could go back and hug that 4-year-old little boy. But what I've learned is that staying trapped in shame over what I didn't know would not serve me or him moving forward. Because I truly didn't know. I was doing the best I could with the information that I had at the time. And I think there's mamas listening today who need to hear that. You can't do differently until you know differently. As Noah got older, the stakes got higher. The behaviors became bigger. The consequences became bigger. Fear became bigger. And without realizing it, my peace became completely tied to how he was doing. If he had a good day, then I could have a good day. When he struggled, I was struggling. If there was hope, I felt hopeful. If things fell apart, it felt like my whole world was falling apart. Everything inside me revolved around him until one day, after years of living like that, I hit rock bottom. I realized something had to change, not because I had given up on Noah, and not because I stopped believing that the Father had plans for his life that looked different than our circumstances. I came to the place where I knew that I couldn't keep living with my peace attached to his circumstances that I had no control over. I remember telling a dear friend and a mentor, I have to figure out how to be okay, even if Noah never is. That sentence almost felt wrong, but I felt it deep inside. How could I be okay if my son wasn't? Would that mean I didn't care? Would it mean that I was giving up? But that's not what the Father was showing me. He wasn't asking me to stop loving Noah. He wasn't asking me to stop praying. He wasn't asking me to stop believing. He was asking me to trust him with the one life that I could actually surrender, mine. That realization changed everything because I stopped asking, how do I get Noah to change? And I started asking, Father, who are you inviting me to become in the middle of this? Those are two completely different questions. One focuses on what you cannot control, and the other one focuses on what the Father is doing inside of you. Mama, please hear my heart. I'm not saying that your child's behavior does not affect you, because of course it does. You love your child. You're going to grieve with them. You're going to pray for them and fight for them and hope for them. But your peace was never meant to depend on whether or not they were having a good or a hard day. Because if your peace depends on your child's behavior, your child unknowingly becomes responsible for something that they were never created to carry. Only the Father can carry that weight and be the source of your peace. And when I began learning that, everything started to change. Not overnight, not perfectly, but little by little. I became more aware of my thoughts, more aware of my actions, my own healing, and I started parenting from a different place. Not from fear and control and trying to force obedience, but from connection, curiosity, compassion. How did I want to show up here? And here's what I want you to know today. This is exactly why I became a coach. It's why I started this podcast, because I didn't want another mama to spend years believing that her peace had to wait for her child's circumstances to change. I want you to know today what took me years to learn. Your child can still be struggling, and you get to experience peace, even when your circumstances don't look like what you would want them to, because the Father is holding it all. You and your child are going to walk different journeys. And while they can be parallel, they do not have to be the same. Our micro shift this week might not seem so micro. For years, I believed that I had to keep parenting the way I had always known. And then one day I realized I had permission to choose a different path, not because I had failed or because I was giving up, but because the way I had been parenting wasn't serving me, my child, or my family. So this week I want to ask you, have you been parenting the only way you knew how? Or the way that you believed that you were supposed to? If that's you, I hope today's episode plants a seed. If you need to hear it, you have permission to parent in a way that best serves you, your child, and your family. Feeling like we have permission to go a different route is powerful. And if me giving you permission releases you in some way, I am happy to do that. But most importantly, I think it's important for you to give yourself permission. Permission to learn a different way. Permission to let go of parenting patterns that no longer serve you. Permission to grow, to repair, to become the mama that the Father created you to be. I want you to know you don't have to stay where you are simply because it's all you've ever known. Mama, if today's episode gave you permission to believe that there is a different way, I want you to know that you don't have to figure it all out on your own. Are you tired of walking on eggshells, yelling, feeling angry all the time, or ending the day wishing you could do it over? I want you to know that there's another way. And it's exactly why I created Anchored Mama Coaching. Together, we'll practice a new way of thinking, processing our emotions, and responding until it begins to feel more natural. If you're ready to take that next step, I'd love to walk alongside you. You can learn more at amandacalfee.com/coaching. That's AMANDACALFEE.com/COACHING, or you can click the link in today's show notes. I'd be honored to walk alongside you. Hey, sweet mama, I hope you loved today's episode. Can you do me a favor? If this episode spoke to your heart, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a mama in your life who needs to know they are not alone? Also, would you leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts for me? It blesses my heart to know that this show is giving you hope in hard moments. All right, I'm off to grab some protein because love and grace flows easier when you're not just running on fumes and coffee. I'll meet you back here next week for another honest and hope-filled conversation. In the meantime, mama, stay rooted in faith and anchored in love.